Welcome to my channel, Rafael. Very glad to have you.
Happy to be here. Awesome.
Great, great. 95% of the viewers already know who you are. You need no introduction. We share the same subscriber base. I think you come from an e-commerce background where you understood the social media quite in depth. What was your motivation or inspiration behind making the switch? Why did you think this was the right path?
Basically, it started when I got the Saint Kitts passport. So I invested 150 grand into that. And I got the passport in about 6.5 months. I was running an e-commerce business. That's how I made the money and that's how I made a lot of my money was through e-commerce, through coaching as well. I used to teach people how to start e-commerce companies, ran a big YouTube channel doing that. When I got the passport, a lot of people started asking me, why did you get it? You're a US citizen. What's the point of this? Are you planning to give up US citizenship? Is that even a thing? And I also moved to Dubai to lower my taxes. And a lot of people are asking me how to move to Dubai. Should I move to Dubai and so on? So it mainly started with one video. I made a video why I bought a passport for $150,000 and I started getting a ton of views. And then I saw, okay, I could build a YouTube channel. In that time, when I started the YouTube channel, there was only one, which is the biggest one in this industry. And that one was doing extremely well. So I thought if I just do my take on this whole industry and I also do it in a more professional way, in a more relatable way as well, because the
Right,
way that that person was doing it or is still doing it was, in my opinion,
right.
not relatable at all to the average investor. So let's say you have 2 to 5 million, maybe $10 million, you want to buy a citizenship by investment, you couldn't really relate to them and you couldn't really talk to anybody that could actually help you. So I thought, let me start a channel, let me talk to people, let me actually help people. And that's how it started. I got my first client after a couple of weeks and step by step, we started hiring people, we started growing the channel and now almost 50,000 subs. So that's awesome. And I just share my own experience. So I don't talk about anything that I personally haven't done or I personally haven't researched in depth. So for example, I talk about Dubai as being the best place because I live here. And then I also talk about St. Kitts because I got the passport and all the other citizenships. And I also talk about random visas, random passports that I'm interested in getting. I would say it's the longest running legitimate citizenship by investment program. And I didn't really want to go and live anywhere because I was living in Dubai and I don't like living in places long term. Even Dubai, after 2 weeks, I think, where can I travel? Where can I go? Where can I fly? And I'm always like looking up best citizenship programs with like very small time frames of staying in one place. So the Caribbean, back then, Antigua was the only one that had like a 5 day requirement, which is not true anymore. So you don't even need to go to Antigua. You don't need to go anywhere in the Caribbean to get citizenship. I thought this just makes a ton of sense. And they're quite good passports. You can travel to many countries. I don't really want to go to the main countries like the US or the countries that St. Kitts doesn't have access to. So that
Right,
was a good, easy decision. I'm still looking for more passports.
right,
And the citizenship by investment passport shouldn't be the only one that you get. It
right.
should be a step into more because I don't have access to Japan. I absolutely love Japan. I don't have access to places like New Zealand. I want to go to New Zealand. And these places are hard to get to unless you have a pretty good passport. So I'm always on the lookout, like maybe Seychelles, maybe Argentina, maybe one of these other countries. Where can I get citizenship? So I'm always talking about this on the channel, where I'm going towards. And if I actually do a particular program or if I start the process, I always make a video about it.
Traveling is very important. Setting examples is very important. You just mentioned about your example of getting the passport, moving to Dubai. That's your success model. And that's what you're showing, right? That's what you're presenting. That's what people want to see. They want to see successful examples of what's happening. The person that we are both referencing he doesn't travel anymore. It's all about the studio, talk, talk, talk. And it's easy to talk, but I think there's less of the travel, there's less of the examples that are being shown. I really agree with you. Setting those examples is very important when you are in this industry because people want to see that you're leading by example.
Exactly. I agree.
Now, Rafael, now Dubai has changed, right? The three major, I think, things that have happened in reference to Dubai is that, it got added to the FATF gray list. Now, it does matter to some people. It absolutely doesn't matter to some others. It really depends upon where you're transacting with, where you're dealing with. If the country that you're coming from also is on the FATF gray list, then there's zero difference, right? But if it is, let's say, a Western country, you're doing certain type of transactions, that may have an impact. So that's one. The other one is the sudden increase in taxes. Like, first it was flat, zero tax. Then, you had the bump to the 9% tax. So that sudden change in policy and philosophy that happened. The third one is the crypto regulations kind of tightened, or tough regulations were introduced to tackle crypto. So those were three major developments that have just recently happened as far as Dubai is concerned. Before, yes, absolutely. Without these options, without these impacts was another story. But with these impacts, how have you seen the interest in Dubai? How have clients reacted? Has this made any major difference or no difference at all? Just wanted to get the practical reality of how this may have had an impact on the Dubai option.
The gray list, it doesn't really matter, to be honest, in 99% of cases. Europe is the worst, to be honest, to transfer money out of. So European banks, like for example, Belgian banks or German banks, they always give any hassle if it's outside of the European Union. Even a transfer to the United States, they'll ask you like 5 questions to see where it's going, why it's going. Can you send an invoice, anything like that? What I've seen in Dubai, there's no problems transferring. There's more of, we just want to check that it's a legitimate transfer. So if somebody from Europe, let's say, is transferring a couple 10,000 euros, let's say, you need to have an invoice. You need to have a proof that that's what you're transferring it for. So if you're transferring 100 grand from Germany or from even the UK outside of Europe, they're going to ask you for some sort of invoice, some sort of document saying, why is this money going to that bank account? And does it match the person that is receiving on the bank account? That's the only way that the gray list has really affected, is just more proof of the transfer. There's nothing else that has affected it, to be honest. And at the world stage, Dubai's trying to get better. So for example, with this whole crypto situation that happened with FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, which is the guy that is now effectively a fugitive of the United States, he said he might go to Dubai and he might come here and just be a fugitive in Dubai because they don't have any extradition treaties. Well, Dubai will extradite anyone. If you commit a crime somewhere and you come here, unless you are very off the grid, nobody knows who you are, some guy running an operation that nobody knows, sure. But most of the times they do world check when you're doing your residence here. They do very deep due diligence to make sure that there's no crime going on. And if there is any financial crime, the extradition is pretty quick, which some people don't like. Some people go to Brazil or Argentina to avoid extradition, but obviously that's a whole different topic. Then when it comes to the taxes, yeah, it definitely sucks. A lot of people, they started mainland companies without not knowing about it. So they start a mainland company and now they realize, oh, wait, there's going to be a 9% tax and there's also going to be auditing, which is quite annoying. What I would say is Dubai and the UAE in general is not as effective as any country in taxation. I would say Dubai and the UAE would be at the same level as something, let's say, a middle Africa country in terms of taxation. So they do have tax rates. For example, Thailand, they have high tax rates. But if you're an expat, you're a foreigner, they might look into your finances. They might look at your bank account to see but most of the people don't get taxed. So I don't see it being a problem. In terms of taxes, what I see Dubai and the UAE doing is just creating better relationships with the rest of the world. So they're increasing to 9%. They might increase to 15% just to keep the relationship with the US, with Europe, with Australia, with all these countries good enough. Because now the UAE is labeled as a tax-free country. There's no taxes. It's only VAT and it's only on sales. So why do they have these nice roads? Why are so many people moving there? Okay, let's raise the taxes. Let's make our image around the world much better. It's not really a Middle Eastern country anymore. It's not really an Arab country anymore. It's a country of expats. Let's make the image better. Let's raise our taxes. But in the end, most people are not going to pay that rate. And most people are not even going to be asked to submit any documents, any auditing, anything. If you're a local company selling to locals, you need to do 5% VAT. You need to do auditing. And that isn't even that professionally done. It's not like in the US where the IRS, and if you don't do your taxes, they'll hunt you down. It is not like that. So it's not as concerning as many people say. I would say it's still pretty concerning because it is taxes coming. And also Oman recently announced a personal income tax, and Oman and the UAE are border countries. So maybe the UAE looks at Oman and says, oh, we can charge personal income tax too. And they start a personal income tax at 3 to 5%. So that is concerning, but I don't see it as being too big of a problem. And the last step with crypto regulations, if you want to get a crypto license, it is much harder now. I made a video on why crypto is getting harder to actually operate in terms of having a business. Before, if you run, for example, a mining company in crypto, you could just run that mining company and not get any license for it. And you would do whatever you want. Now you need to get a Bitcoin mining license, and the license is a real license. You need to apply for it. You need to sign documents, you need to show proof that you're doing Bitcoin mining, and so on. So Dubai was really the Wild West of crypto. You could get a crypto license with literally nothing. Now it's not. Now you actually need to go through approvals, you need to do regulatory things, you need to go to the certain authority, and you need to do it with professionals. So I don't recommend just Googling crypto license in Dubai and then going with the first guy you see on Google Ads. No, go with somebody that actually knows what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. The point that you made about the extradition, a slightly different flavor, not really an extradition situation, because that's really, referencing more of the criminal situation where eventually they'll get to them no matter what. But I think a lot of South Asians who live in Dubai historically, they've moved there years and years ago, maybe 20 years, 30 years, a lot of doctors who are now concerned that, they still hold that home country citizenship. Now that citizenship isn't that powerful. Any small mistake here and there, things happen, stuff happens, and they lose access. Then they eventually don't get citizenship, no matter how many years, no matter, they have children, they still inherit the home country weak passport. They don't become Dubai nationals. So because you don't get eventually the citizenship, no matter how much time you spend in the country, do you think that is sort of one of the negatives, or you think that doesn't affect most people who live in Dubai physically?
Yeah, that you can't get citizenship or permanent residency unless you're a billionaire. If you're a billionaire, you can get it. But if you are a regular person with a bad passport, you could move to Europe, or you could move to, let's say, Spain, and you get citizenship in 10 years, and your kids get citizenship, and all is good, and you get an amazing passport. Here, you live 10 years, you need to continue renewing your visa. It's not going to be a permanent residency or passport. There is a big problem right now with African people. So, for example, there's about 20 different countries that got denied tourist visas with no further notice. In the middle of October, they said, oh, these 20 countries, and including the Dominican Republic, I don't even know why, anybody with passports from these countries cannot come to Dubai on a tourist visa. But you can go on an investor visa. You can go on a work visa through your own company. And yeah, in the past, people have gotten convicted of crimes they didn't commit and things like that. But unless you do something really bad, like unless you disrespect the royal family, or you hit somebody with your car by taking a red light, like something very punishable, yeah, those things are deportable. And if you have a low ranking citizenship, because in the eyes of the UAE, I'm not saying my eyes or anybody else's eyes, just in the eyes of the UAE, it is a lower quality passport, lower quality citizen, which is sad. But a lot of countries think this way as well, especially a lot of Gulf countries.
Exactly.
So it's concerning. Yeah, but I would say that not having citizenship also causes people to always be on edge and always be motivated. There is no homeless people, or there are no homeless people. There are also no people that just want to live off the government. There are no people that become citizens and then they don't do anything productive in their life. Because if they were granted citizenship, like in the case of a lot of Europeans, they're granted citizenship and now they don't need to do anything. They can remain there. They don't need to extend their visa. They don't need to make money. They can live off the government. Here, that doesn't happen. So if you're lazy and you don't want to make money, you got to work. You got to renew your visa. You got to pay your visa fees. You got to get another job. You can't just be a citizen and chill. So that's also a good side of it. It has pros and cons. Yeah.
Now, being a wealthy expat, right? The characteristics of this type of a person, the few that come to mind is it's a strong alpha male, has money, is into women. I'm not saying multiple women, has plan B options. So these are the four things that immediately strike my mind when you talk about a wealthy expat or a Goodlife investor. Is there anything else that you feel that this person also has? I have one, and I'll talk about that in a slight bit, but I wanted to hear your thoughts on anything that's missing from this list.
Well, if I look at my clients, many of them are quite different. So, for example, there's a guy that is worth $100 million and takes the metro. And then there's the guy that's worth like $2 million, but always takes like Mercedes, Rolls Royce. So they're obviously used to different kinds of lifestyles. I would definitely say they're all pretty alpha. I mean, they're dominant. Sometimes you see guys that have, a wife that dominates over them. That's common. They're usually alpha in business. They have big businesses. They have investments. They're very comfortable. They know how to take risks. They're looking long term. Most of them look long term, and most of them are very aware. And the word doesn't come to me right now, but they're very skeptical of things. So when somebody let's say a government or something happens. So for example, in the election now, I'm talking to a few clients that are from the US and they're always skeptical. They're like, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Maybe they're planning it. Maybe that's for a reason. Maybe this whole situation happening in Europe is all planned and maybe this is what they want to do out of it. So that's the overall sense that I get from my clients is they're always skeptical. They're always overanalyzing things or analyzing things to a larger degree because that's made them successful. They think like, oh, the financial system it's not that great. Let me invest in crypto. And they made 10 million with crypto. Now they're going to doubt many more things. Let me doubt the system of going to school and getting a job. Let me build a business and the business was successful. Therefore, they doubt many things. I would say that's a big quality.
Because there's so much to lose. I mean, you have all your net wealth and something
Yeah.
major strikes from somewhere. You have all this wealth, maybe it's a constant fear that I also get from a lot of people that I talk to. Cool. The one thing that I thought was children. A lot of people talk about having many children, and having multiple citizenships.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's the one thing which I felt in that list, I see pretty common as a pattern amongst a lot of people talk about children. I want a child in this country. I want a child in that country. My children should have all my citizenships. My wife's giving my children so many and so forth and all of that. So that's an interesting conversation that I have with some of my clients. So last few
Brazil and Mexico, those are the two popular ones.
Popular ones. Yeah, Brazil is pretty flexible. I have a lot of content on Brazil, 1 year, and then you can qualify for your citizenship on paper. In practice, it takes much longer. But yeah, Brazil is a pretty famous one. And then 2 years, you have the Mexico. So last few questions,
definitely.
Rafael. What's your dream citizenship or your dream passport?
Ooh. Dream passport? Oh, I gotta go with something like San Marino or Luxembourg, Monaco, a micronation in Europe, because you have the right to live in all of Europe. You can access pretty much anywhere in the world. Or if I would pick it right, it would be any of the very small countries in Europe, to be honest. Singapore would also be a dream, but the problem is with Singaporean citizenship, your children need to go to the army, which I don't like.
Plus no dual citizenship.
Plus no dual. I think a small, like Monaco, San Marino, Luxembourg, one of these countries. I wouldn't even pick UAE because UAE is still, you're a citizen, so you kind of need to abide by different rules than foreigners. I'm not sure how that would go. Yeah, that would be my dream.
Are you planning to pursue your dream passport, or that's just a dream passport, but not necessarily achievable?
No. No, I'm not living 30 years in San Marino. No, that's not worth it.
Yeah, what's the fastest, easiest, and the most useful utility citizenship that one can get?
Well, I mean, easiest depends how much money you're talking. So if you're talking about the cheapest, if I had right now to just get a second passport, I always imagine this, let's say Saint Kitts would lose access to the Schengen area. Like completely, you just lose access to the Schengen area. What to do? I would probably buy Dominica right away. It's $100,000, pretty straightforward process. Now it's taking a little bit longer, but even a lot of people in the Saint Kitts government, they're Dominican citizens because they can live in each other's islands. I would probably take that one. Or I would go for a 2-year living option like Argentina. If I really had to, I'd probably live 2 years in Argentina and then get that.
So aren't you worried about not being able to renounce an Argentinian citizenship? Let's say you get that. Let's say they come up with citizenship-based taxation.
The thing is, Argentina wouldn't be able to impose citizenship-based taxation, and they wouldn't be able to enforce it in any way. The US is able to enforce it because they have the US dollar. They can embargo anyone, and they can take out stocks as well. So if a country says we're not going to tax your citizens or we're not going to give you information, they say, okay, we'll take out Apple, Amazon, and Google stocks off of your bank. And then the bank loses half of their clientele. So they have a lot of power. And the Argentine peso, I don't see many people trading it anytime soon. So it's not something, even Canada, they say, oh, we're going to impose citizenship-based taxation. Okay, do it, because nobody really wants Canadian dollars. Right. They want US dollars or GBP. So that's a lot more believable. But I don't think that's a problem if you can't renounce it. If anything happens that they impose citizenship-based taxation, you just never go back to Argentina. But the passport is amazing. You can go to so many countries.
Oh, absolutely. And
so I would definitely go for that one.
Exactly. And it's easy too, just spending a couple of years, as you said, in the country.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a pretty cool
Right.
pass. Yeah, exactly. So if you, between Latin American citizenship and European citizenship, if you had to choose one, which one would you go for?
Uh, if I had to choose between the two, I'd probably go for Latin American because
Latin.
eh, Europe, it's also the West. It's also connected to the US. It's also like this woke culture. The passports are getting more restrictive. They always have something together. So all Europe votes on something together. They have some certain regulations and restrictions. Latin America is they all have different things. They all have different tax rates. You can move from one country to the other. And there's also no stereotypes apart from, I would say, Colombia. Colombia, I would say, has the worst stereotypes. So if you show up with a Colombian passport in Dubai, it's like red flags everywhere because they know, okay, this could be bad. But if you show up with a Uruguayan passport in Dubai, they're going to look at it and they're going to, Uruguay is a country. And they're going to look it up and, oh, okay, Uruguay, have fun. But yeah, unless you pick like Colombia or Venezuela, everything else is amazing. Yeah.
Someone, let's say from Puerto Rico, right? They're Puerto Rican nationals. Now, let's say someone wants to go away from the US, let's say renounce and stuff. Do they still continue to be Puerto Rican nationals? And let's say in future, if they want to reclaim their Puerto Rican access, let's say get back their Puerto Rican passport, which happens to be the US passport, do they have that option automatically just because they are from Puerto Rico and they were originally Puerto Rican nationals?
No, I asked that. As a person renouncing US citizenship, you renounce all claim to
Oh.
regain citizenship anywhere, anytime in your life.
Mhm.
So if you renounce US citizenship, that's it. That's done. Your kids cannot claim it. Your grandparents cannot claim. Your grandkids cannot claim it. That's it. It's gone. Yeah.
Affects your entire family chain. Wow. I see.
Unless Puerto Rico, Spain colonizes it again, and then Spain says every Puerto Rican is now Spanish, then maybe you could claim it. But as an American, no.
Right, right, right. Rafael, it was wonderful, entertaining. Really appreciate the opportunity, Rafael.
Awesome, man. Thank you for having me on the channel.